All right, so it's Jazz History Month, and I wanted to at least listen to at least one jazz song. This is a song Punk Jazz by Jaco Pastorius from his live album, The Birthday Concert, which was recorded in 1981, but released in 1995 after his death. And in early 1980s, Jaco had a successful solo album. Two albums, I should say, and successful in light of the fact that he was a jazz musician. That wasn't the in vogue music at the time. Was often associated with the fusion movement, which is a kind of mixed funk jazz and rock into an electric music, and was associated with playing jazz or playing it on an electric bass, which was something that was kind of new at the time. Jazz traditionally was played on an upright acoustic bass. He was using an electric bass, and he was using an electric fretless bass. And so this particular concert is interesting because it is a big band concert that has hints of traditional big band music. But there's something else going on, and we're seeing kind of a change in the musical style of big band during this time, done by Jaco and his co-musicians. I'll pause it in the middle and kind of go over a little bit of that, but let's listen. So this is punk jazz. You can tell by the name that it kind of is evoking both the history jazz and likewise responding and incorporating to a new music coming, punk rock, or new music that had emerged more recently, I should say, which would be punk. So this is punk jazz. Let's listen to it. So a few things I want to talk about. Really, you can see how this evokes traditional big band music and yet is something different. It's, in a way, applying that to a different palette, I should say. And I think, there's some really well-known jazz musicians who are playing in this big band, perhaps Michael Brecker, saxophone player, being maybe the most popular outside of Jaco Pastorius. But I really want to point to some things going on in the drumming and the percussion. Peter Erskine is the drummer. I met him many years ago at some workshop, I think that was at Arizona State University. Nonetheless, great drummer, but he's evoking something different than what's been in traditional big band music up to that point. And he's invoking funk in that. I mean, this is a beat that you wouldn't find 10 to 15 years earlier in a big band setting, most likely. But it's a beat that comes out of the funk musicians. Likewise, there you hear percussion going on. Now, this album had 3 percussionists, Don Elias, Bobby Thomas Jr., and Oscar Salas. I don't know who's playing what who's playing the congas at this particular moment. Nonetheless, and Don Elias is one of my favorite percussionists, but nonetheless, this idea of using that percussion instrumentation in a big band setting, also something that was considered very progressive at the time. It draws upon the Latin Cuban movement that had happened by prior musicians, and yet introduces new instrumentation into a big band. Now, I don't know if he's the first to do this. You might say, hey, this person did this first or whatever. But nonetheless, it does indicate a changing style in 1981. And I would say late 1970s to 1981. Okay, let's get back to listening. A heartbeat. Cool bass riff. Now we're to a very traditional, put on pause. Now we're to a very traditional big band swing groove right now. Mixing these styles together within this particular track. We're back to the funk groove. The natural fade. It's a live concert. They can't have the engineer fade it down. They might have done it in post-production too, though. It sounds like they did a little bit in post-production. All right, so that's Punk Jazz by Jaco Pastorius from the birthday concert, 1981. All right, peace. Happy Jazz History Month.